There's a guy that I met. He does this too, but he's better than me. He jumps on it.
Yeah?
He literally jumps up and leaps.
That's badass. Now, the cool thing about this is it trains your focus. Nice. What's up, guys? I just finished doing a few tryouts on that line. And it's funny because I was reading Osho recently, and he was talking about how tightrope walking is a great exercise for developing a meditative and focused sense of awareness, which gives you more, which helps you progress on your journey of self-mastery, of course, because having that sort of focus is just so key when it comes to not getting carried away by your internal enemies and also your external enemies by default. But anyways, I want to present to you the following podcast with Jerzy Gregorek, who is a political refugee from Poland, who escaped some pretty crazy circumstances. And he's also a champion powerlifter and one of Tim Ferris's top mentors. And he's really a connoisseur when it comes to Stoicism, self-mastery, and just really badass topics. And I managed to get a hold of him, and I really wanted to pick his brain when it came down to all those topics, you know, including his perspective on what it means to be a man and stuff like that. And we had a really cool conversation, really cool podcast, and I hope you guys like it. I'm pretty sure most of you will. And with that being said, check out SpartanOwnership.com/store or SpartanOwnership.com/coaching if you want to help support the channel and get some gear and or coaching on your journey of becoming a self-disciplined, high-performance badass. And also check out thehappybody.com, which is Jerzy's website. And in it, he goes over a lot of cool practices to keep your body young, vital, flexible, and strong, especially for older people. But it's also a great routine to supplement, even if you're a young guy like me, doing, you know, hardcore routines at the gym, heavy squats and deadlifts and all that. I personally actually supplement it myself and add it to my routine. So check it out, and hope you guys enjoy the podcast. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Spartan Ownership. And today I have a very special guest, Jerzy Gregorek. That's how you say your name, right?
Yes,
All
Jerzy Gregorek, yeah.
Beautiful.
You're good with that.
I'm actually half Georgian, and I speak Russian. Yeah, so...
Oh, that's why. Gregorek is really
Gregorek.
hard. Yeah.
So, yeah, I actually heard of Jerzy because I was listening to Tim Ferris on several videos mentioning Jerzy and how you knew quite a bit about Stoicism and how he considers you to be one of his mentors. And, you know, Spartan Ownership is all about, you know, helping guys, and it's specifically geared towards helping men in particular to develop themselves, their masculinity, you know, their sense of strength, courage, and just their character. And I'm always looking for people that embody those values. So I've interviewed, you know, warriors, I've interviewed people from all walks of life, and it's all to just help the guys listening here to develop themselves. Because in today's world, a lot of men are raised without women. You know, I was raised, without fathers, and I was raised by mostly women. You know, my father wasn't really around in my life that much. I've had some periods with him, but and that took its toll on me. So I'm always looking for mentors and people to kind of guide me. So with their mentorship and my own inner voice together, I can move forward on my life's destiny. And Jerzy, can you just give everybody a quick background as to who you are and what you do, and then we'll just jump into the interviews or to the questions?
Well, I'm a political refugee from Poland, Solidarity 86. I came to this country 87. work in weightlifting business, some kind of personal training for about 10 years. Noticed that the whole fitness system creates a lot of dependency. So created a program called the Happy Body that would give people full control over what they do and become independent and achieve, of course, results that they want. So work on that for about 20 years. And today the Happy Body is a program well known, and Tim Ferris was doing this, also Naval Ravikant, and a lot of in Silicon Valley people use it for that purpose. So very independent means you can travel wherever you go or live for another 50 years, and you have a system, you have a program that you can control your body weight, you can control your leanness, you can control flexibility, and you actually do that. So you are the master of your body, and that is incredible. It works.
Beautiful. Yeah, I've actually been doing the Happy Body. I started it recently, and I've incorporated it into my usual routine. So I do like 25 to 30 minutes of Happy Body, and I do like 6 rounds. And right after that, actually, no, I end it with the Happy Body. But before the Happy Body, I do my squats and my deadlifts and things like that, and then I end it with the Happy Body, and it's been great. I'm sure I'm gonna continue to explore the other phases of it, and it's definitely a different kind of approach. Like, I was reading some of the different character types or body types, and I think I'm pretty much at the ideal weight according to that, because I'm 6'1" and 185.
Oh, so you're perfect.
Yeah, so when I read the Happy Body, I became happy, because I'm like, oh, I'm already there.
What about leanness? Because ideal body weight is only the body weight. You can have 185 pounds, but you can be obese, right, at the same time. So the Happy Body tells you one thing: okay, you should be 185, but also you should be 10% body fat. So if you are, for the men, actually is 20% body fat and more. They are considered obese. So obesity is body fat percentage, and it's not really the BMI or some kind of different way of saying that somebody is obese by body weight. So actually the body fat percentage decides about who is obese and who is not. So actually, for men, it's 20% and more, and for women, it's 30% and more. So a woman can be 100 pounds and obese at the same time.
Right. That totally makes sense. And I haven't really done any formal body fat testing, but at the gym, they have this little thing that you grab with both hands, and it said that I was 10%. I don't think it's
perfect.
yeah. I'm pretty low in body fat. I can see my muscles are pretty defined, but yeah. So
when you have 10%, then the next step would be next standards of the Happy Body: flexibility, strength, good posture. So all those standards help people to live a great life, until you're 100, and you play the same music every day, and then you restore this goodness to yourself.
Yes, those are definitely the areas that I'm lacking in, is that structural integrity, posture. I have quite a bit of pain still, just from sitting around a lot. So, but I definitely recommend to everybody listening to check out the Happy Body, and even if you're doing your own workout regimen right now, you can still incorporate it in some way and see the results, and it's really cool. And I also love the way that it's written with all the graphics, and it's a very fun read. Definitely enjoy that. So I wanted to ask you the first question about being a man, and everybody has a different philosophy on that, depending on where they came from in the world and depending on what their life experiences have been. So, Jerzy, what does being a man mean to you, and how do you know when you became a man?
Well, I think that the first thing is you are the family, person. For me is or some kind of responsibility comes with being a man, and then I feel that because physically a man is stronger than a woman, so for me always somebody who is better is responsible for somebody that is and stronger and weaker. So stronger people are always responsible for the weaker, and that's how it is for me with the men, because men are stronger. They're supposed to be responsible for women. Although today is women are very strong too, but even though they are not as strong as men. So when it comes to Olympic weightlifting, let's say, or running and sports, so they are not. But in the certain areas like business area where women can make the same amount of money or power, so that qualifies them sometimes for as a metaphor. They are actually stronger than men, and sometimes marriages are like that women are actually stronger. So women take the charge of the metaphoric man, and they are responsible for the family. So I think that the men, because man was stronger, carries that responsibility of goodness for the family and for friends and for anybody that is weaker. I mean, if you smarter, let's say, and smarter in the world, then you are responsible for those who are not. And that's how I understand becoming powerful or a man or whatever it is. The better you are, the more responsibility you have. That's probably my definition would be.
Okay, got it. So being a man and responsibility go hand in hand. And the stronger you are and the smarter you get, then the more responsibility you should expect to have with that. And that includes helping those underneath you and taking charge. And, and the reason, once again, that I really want to delve into this is because, and you probably noticed this, like, a lot of men these days are very confused about what it means to be a man. Because it's not really talked about in culture as much these days. And it's not a very clear thing anymore, especially since you also mentioned women are gaining more power in certain fields, and it's just not as clear cut as it used to be. So guys are just very confused, and that's why I think it's important.
I don't know. It's I have a good experience from couples, actually. So about 30 years ago or 20 years ago, I worked with couples. So couples wanted to save money, and I work with about 10 couples. I saw them, of course, separately, but I noticed that there was no way to really help them because men were actually impossible. They usually was turning sarcastic. They were more toward finding the ways not to do it, putting a woman down or something, and it was just something. It just doesn't work. The men were more owning the women in their brain. So I fired all the couples and told them, if they want to come, it's impossible for me to help them. So I said, if you want to come, you have to come separately. So then I work separately with people, and I didn't work with couple. I just thought it's either I don't have these capabilities to really create the atmosphere, the ambience that actually would be healing and constructive, or something else is there. So then, about 2 years ago, I got this call from a woman, and then she said that they would like to come together. So I said, I do not accept couples, and then I told her about what happened to me 20 years ago. So she said, well, but we are different. I said, well, the couples before they thought they were different too. So, but she convinced me because she had this voice that really very strong, convincing voice that is true. So I said, okay. So they came. And when they came, there's something else that I've never seen a couple like that. A man was very cooperative and not really controlling anything. The man was flowing with the woman, and there was no woman, there was no man. There was something that was very beautiful with this couple, and that they were capable both creating this goodness that was even in many directions. So that was striking for me. It's like I said, wow, really? And then there's something going on, right? So they sent their friends and their friends and their friends, and every couple that was coming, it was kind of the same couple. So I think that something good is happening in the man that today is late 20s or early 30s, that they are capable actually to be better men that my men were like when I was at that age, so 30 years ago. So I think that the world is getting actually better, that the man is getting better, and it's really good to see it. I'm happy to see it.
Interesting. So, in your experience, when there's like a more equal flow of energy, then there's a benefit to that.
Well, the man has a perspective today that the man doesn't own the woman.
Oh, I see.
Doesn't buy her, and he's not an object. He's not powerful entity, and owns the woman.
Right. Okay.
Today, what I see today, the men are very loving, and they are a lot of them, right? Which I didn't see before. That they are loving, but they are not only loving; they are flowing together. So it's a difference. It's like they don't create any irritation or frustration. They're willing constantly to adapt to any challenge that comes in, adapt the way that we are doing this together. So that's why it's different and it's beautiful.
Right. Interesting. I see that. Thank you. And it's kind of a jump to another topic here, but well, it still has to do with what you mentioned earlier, which is responsibility. And you're a pretty powerful guy in terms of what you know and the value that you add to the world, and your mastery and skill set and your message. And from what I understand, you live a pretty disciplined lifestyle. And you mentioned stuff like eating. I heard the funny story about you and like the soups, and how you would drink these soups and like just eat a lot and fast. And I'm very similar to that as well. I think you called it taskmaster, where you just want to like finish a task and you don't want to just flow through it.
Yeah, well, there are two perspectives.
Right.
One thing that really how much to eat, and then I call it the happy body, the American diet, so American way of eating, or dealing with the quantities, right? So Japanese have this 80% full, and French people just get a little bit and eat very slow and long. And Americans are busy moving around, so they like to get over it, and so they really need to know how much, right?
Right.
So then the happy body is that thing that gives you, okay, this is enough for you, and then not less and no more. So you can eat it very fast and done with it and move on, right? So that's
Right.
kind of American way. Well, the other side of me is also that I can eat actually more than enough. So 1 apple or 2 apples and 3 apples and 10 apples, right? So if I sit, I can eat 10 apples. So in order to deal with it, I created this task mastering. So I will take the apple and I will start the clock, and then I will give myself 30 minutes to eat the apple. So when I drive somewhere, let's say it's 30 minutes, then I will finish the apple when I arrive. So that's the taskmaster. So this is really good task actually that is helping me to not to eat 10 apples within 30 minutes, but one.
Right.
And it's really working because I'm a really taskmaster. So if I decide really to eat that apple in 30 minutes, then I see really weird things happening to me. So in about a minute, there's half an apple, right? Gone. Then another 1 minute, and I start really biting slowly, and then I start licking it, and so on. It's really funny.
Right.
But after a while, I can eat 15 minutes. I can put the apple. If I'm at home and I work or write or do something, work on something, I put the apple very little, like one, maybe fifth of the apple down, and then I will start working on it, and then alarm comes in. I don't even notice. And then something happens because in 30 minutes we really pass this feeling of this being taskmaster of eating 10 apples. So one is enough, and then in this way I help myself not to eat 10 apples. But the tasking things is really good. I mean, for the goodness, right? Because eating 10 apples is not really good. Mm-hmm. So eating 1 apple is a good thing. Is kind of helping me to control myself. So it's a different task mastering. That for goodness.
Right, and I really like that because I find myself being very compulsive when it comes to eating, especially if it's something good, and I just want to eat it real fast, and then it's just gone before it even started. And
that's good. Sounds good.
Exactly. So, and when I read your work and listen to your YouTube videos and everything, you mention easy choices, hard life, hard choices, easy life, and I just wanted to bring the topic to discipline for a second here. And the truth is that living a self-disciplined lifestyle is pretty hard. Especially for people that aren't used to it. For me, discipline has been a very tough thing to master, developing that self-control. And I guess this is where Stoicism comes in. But how do you deal with the pain of discipline? Because it's so easy sometimes to go, life is too short, and why should I be disciplined? Why should I make so many strides to eat slower and be healthy and all this other stuff and, be self-disciplined essentially? Why should I live that kind of life when, it's just so much pain and frustration and I have to control myself? Like, how do you deal with the price of that kind of lifestyle?
I don't know, maybe it's coming, that I was raised in, communism and really hardship, and, I look into my possibilities, and possibilities came with some kind of improvement, that you have to improve yourself to pull yourself out of where you are, out of that place, and get better. And in order to do that, you have to go somewhere where that improvement actually exists. So for me, it was Olympic weightlifting, and it was education. Education was the place where I actually could get better, and felt I was better. I was smarter, or I could go to high school, go to college. So I was feeling that what I was doing was accumulating something and sending me on certain progress, and better things were happening to me. So it could be that. I don't know how other people could be, but in US, when I was working with anybody, I have to get better. So in my brain, getting better is the way of life. So dealing with obstacles, and I see with aging is the same thing, that if you challenge what really makes you worse, then you actually can get better. So I'm looking always for the harder choices, and I'm more excited to work with people that they are worse than actually better, because it's more fun to help somebody that is really a lot of worse than the other person, because it's nothing too much to do. So the whole fitness is more today entertainment, and entertainment is something that doesn't make you better over time. So it's easy, right? It doesn't create anything. Maybe takes your time away from you, but sometimes it's good. So I go to movies and watch a lot of Marvel movies with my daughter, and it's fun. It's entertainment, but it doesn't bring anything to life. It just gives a little bit joy, a little bit fun, and so on. But then there are places in life supposed to be that where we actually do certain things when we know it's not entertainment, we know it's hard, and we know that on a daily basis we should do it in order to have results and deliver certain progress. So I am really irritated when I don't get better. I have to get better. So for me, I'm looking for the harder way of training, or harder way of educating myself. And I know that everything what is entertainment and everything that is easy, it delivers eventually a very hard life. So it contributes to actually getting worse. And that's true. It's so easy to get worse, or so easy to destroy things in life, and so hard to build. And it takes a lot of time and to build the building, but it's easy to destroy it. So anything else is just the same way in life. It's easy to destroy, but it's really hard to educate yourself. But it's easy to really wipe it out, right? So there's a value, immense value in education and progress. So I see the hard choices contribute to the progress and goodness, overall goodness of the human being, and that's where the hard choices is. So I run away from easy choices unless I see them that they are really entertainment. So it's fine, it's okay. But how much time a day you would spend for entertainment, right? So you don't spend 5 hours or 6 hours on entertainment, but you choose it weekly. Let's say 5 hours entertainment, fun, and so on. And then the truth is that Monday through Friday we shouldn't have really much entertainment. We should have really constructive way of living, dealing with the family, helping our children to do their homework, improve, and then live the life that is constructive, aligned with Monday, Friday idea, and then Saturday some fun, go to movies, see friends, something like that. So that's my way on about the hard choices. Hard choices are usually, you're right. Hard choices deliver progress, deliver goodness. That's why they are hard. And whatever delivers the same or no progress, it's an easy choice. It's easy to do things that they don't make you better over time.
And I like how you call it entertainment. And one of the things that kind of burst at me when you were saying all that was just, why do you think that is? Why do you think that these hard choices are hard? I mean, it kind of sounds like a dumb question, but do you think that it's like, God or the universe or whatever trying to see what we're made of and trying to challenge us? Or is it a way to weed out the weak? Like, why do you think it is that we have to make... Because it's not always fun living a constructive lifestyle. It's just not. Sometimes it just sucks, but you have to do it.
Yeah, it can be fun. For me, it's fun all the time. So I guess it's how you... what is your attitude toward really hard choices? Hard choices are really beautiful, like when you make hard choices, it's you feel you gain something. It's more. That's America. America is really more, and the hard choices is actually more better. So the idea of the hard choice is not an idea, it's hardship. It is like really improving yourself. That's the hard choice. That's the creating environment that you work, let's say, to create different company. And it's really hard at the beginning, a startup, but you can see it's not really a hard thing, but it's exciting that it is difficult, and you sense the difficulties as you challenge yourself, because you challenge yourself, you're improving yourself. Every time it happens, remember, obstacle is the way, right? So you are creating these possibilities that you are actually improving. So think about yourself as you are, like 2 or 3 years old, and then somebody asks you, how much is 2 plus 2? Well, you say, I don't know, right? So you don't know. But we, as society, every generation, we reteach everybody to actually know it. So we have teachers, and then we teach you how much is 2 plus 2. And one day you say, it's 4. And everybody's happy that you found out that it's 4, right? And then after a while, we are bored, and then about that it's 2 plus 2 is 4. So we want to know that you know how much is 2 plus 3, and so on. And then the whole journey, education begins. And that journey goes through algebra and then calculus and so on, right? And then at a certain point happens to us that we stop somewhere. And then we don't weave education forward and forward and forward. And when we actually stop, then we stop our growth, we stop our process of improvement, and then something else happens. We just simply work, and we only want to entertain ourselves. We are not engaged in the world that creating this better world wherever we are, right? So it really doesn't matter. Let's say you are a receptionist and you are in a dentist's office and you are hired, and then you go there. From the hard choice way would be to look at it and look how I can make it better. Paint it, or move the furniture, or bring different painting, or it can be done very easy. Reorganize the files and so on. Make it pleasant for people. Bring different colors, and entrance may be different. Talk to people nicely, kindly. So this receptionist has a choice, has an attitude, really engaging attitude, which doesn't have to. That receptionist doesn't have to go to be a medical doctor or somebody. Every profession is a way of expression of meaningfulness. So it's that receptionist can really bring to the world hard choices, and the hard choices would be the ones that the whole environment becomes better. Because of that, I mean, kinder, it's more pleasant. So dentists will, of course, see it, yeah, say, oh, well, it changed a little bit. It's people really talk about how they come, they have better experience, and everybody is more fun and so on. Why did it happen? It's hard choices. What's the easy choice would be? Would become receive the phone calls, that schedule as it was, and do nothing about, right? So that would be easy. Easy is always to do what establishment was, what was it, and kind of hang on with it and not getting better. So you can really see the hard choice can bring this beautiful office of a dentist that is very pleasant and kind. People feel good. And the same things happen there. It's not different, right?
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I like it. It's like your attitude towards the discipline. You could actually enjoy the discipline and enjoy getting better. And I guess growth is kind of it's not always easy to grow. It's like, I keep thinking of when I was a little kid and my teeth were growing and how my mouth would hurt and my jaw would hurt. But I guess it kind of has to hurt a little bit, or it kind of there has to be a little bit of resistance. It's just like muscle growth. I mean, who cares about teeth? Muscle growth, that's where you specialize. And to get muscle growth and proper posture and everything else, you need to be able to push past that resistance and make those hard choices. And you could just sit there and relax and entertain yourself, but you're not really going to push any resistance, and therefore you're going to stay the same or get worse. So
exactly. So when also there is when we age and when we pass 35 and 40, then we deteriorate, and that is in us inside. We deteriorate about 2% every year. So physically, mm-hmm. and probably mentally too, because if we deteriorate physically, so if we don't practice, it goes away. So, but one thing is that physical deteriorates about 2%. So, okay, you can receive it and you can complain and you can blame the nature as it is, or you can pick up the hard choices. Okay, so it does to me this. So, what I would do in order to keep myself the way I was, let's say, a year and not deteriorate. So you're more engaged now in the progress, and progress is the answer here. If you progress, if you have progression of something for better, it means you are exposed to the challenges. You're exposed to learn something, or physically becoming better. So if you want to lift 1 pound more than ever, the whole body system, nervous system, and the muscle, everything else has to match that energy of the weight that is, sitting up there, and it will not be lifted unless the energy is matched with the static energy there. Then it's education is beautiful, That the other part of it is adaptation, that we constantly adapt to the certain knowledge and certain powers that we have. And when we stress ourselves and we adapt, then something what was hard is easy now. So then we pick up another harder and harder and harder. That's what the athletes are doing, right? And then until they become, the world champions, or stop at a certain level. Or the artists, every poem is a growth. So in a way, it's not a different poem only, but also it is a part on a journey. It's a time on a journey of a poet. But the poet actually is getting better with every poem. The same happens to painters, and we're just not really people that create something without certain growth. we really grow. We are getting better with every piece of art, and we start really recognizing it and loving it, and also we love the becoming better over time, and it happens to philosophers, and we don't become Stoics overnight, right?
Mhm.
It's we become within 20 years and 30 years, and but that progression, the constant being around that, what is it, whether it's poetry or philosophy or spirituality or science, something that drives us crazy, and then we reach constantly for to know more, or to write another poem, or to understand another aspect of philosophy. So we are a self-driven energy for more, right? For actually more, to understand more, or adapt and match the resistance, or whatever it is that we want to match.
Wow, that's interesting. I just had this visual that we're all just these energetic beings, and our purpose is to tap into the full abilities and energy that we have within us. And the way to tap into that is by expressing ourselves, constantly moving forward, and like you say, always asking yourself, how do I get better? How do I get better? How do I get better? And never stopping to ask yourself that, because if you stop, then that's like the second that you stop growing, right? That's,
Yeah, that
start decaying.
the other thing in it is that it shouldn't be just the talk, right?
Mhm.
That you have to pick up your battles. So otherwise, you will be just asking yourself, and you will never do what you need to do. So so you have to really pick up, battles. So I was 30 years ago. I was playing piano and wrote poetry. So it was very hard for me, too hard. You see, that was actually too hard. That I noticed that I was not able to progress in both. That two arts were too much for me. That if I wanted to progress, I would need to really decide which one. So I stopped piano and moved into poetry, and poetry became my challenge, right? In the world, my love, my challenge, my passion, everything. But it's the craft, right? And then you have this one journey with poetry, and then because you have one journey, also you become real in life. It means you are exposed to other poets, you're exposed to the craft of poetry, you're exposed to clubs that poetry writers meet together, and you're exposed into all the poets around. And because of it, you study, you learn, you write, you rewrite, you through the years passing, you understand the progression, you understand the hard choices, you understand becoming better in the craft of writing. And then it becomes you Mount Everest, right? One Mount Everest to climb. And makes you so real in life. And after a while, you know exactly when you slightly getting better. And then the whole journey, it's not anymore hard choice. It is hard choice, but you don't feel it like it is hard choice. It's just the same as for me, weightlifting was another one that I pursued weightlifting the same way. And now it's, 50 years. And I went, through all the weightlifting as much as I could go up and then down and so on. But it's a constant challenge, chosen field. So, today I noticed that people talk a lot, and then there is no doing. So, and you can, talk a lot and miss completely where is your battle. What is the war that you are really on? Is it business? Is it poetry? Is it music? What is it? When you have to pick it up, and like the happy body for me became, in the last 25 years, is the happy body. And then I try to understand the happy body. The more the years are passing, and it's really hard choices all the time, because I try to understand and comprehend how the plan could be accepted by people, and they would be able to actually apply that goodness to themselves, right? But it requires hard choices, and now I'm studying and learning constantly how to actually make it happen. So I wrote, another like 6 books about dialogues, and then philosophy, and self-mastery and poetry, all about that. And it's so fascinating. It's just fascinating from the perspective that it's so complex, the human being, and the way we believe, the way we think, the way we do things, and why we don't and why we do. I mean, it's fascinating. And then it can be so fascinating that you don't feel anymore that there are hard choices. The passion overrides everything, and it's so exciting. And now, from now on, that hard choice is not anymore a hard choice. It becomes something else.
So it's like the stronger your passion and your purpose and your connection is to your craft, then the easier the so-called hard choices become, because it becomes something else. Like, it's no longer like, oh, this thing sucks.
Right.
It's like,
yeah, and then
right.
you become the hard choices easy life. That actually life becomes so easy, so fantastic. You meet people that they do the same things. They are passionate about finding the way of writing poetry, contemporary poetry, and you meet in this fantastic place. You talk for hours, and days are passing, life is passing, but you're having a good time. You are improving yourself, and you feel like you have found the meaning. And I think that the man's search for meaning, and Viktor Frankl is kind of all about that. It's just finding this is love of something that really makes you crazy, but makes you better over time. You see, it helps you with these hard choices, that the hard choices are not anymore as hard, and not so you're not so frustrated about that you are not going to the party because you have to go to the lab and do something out there. So it's I guess love is the thing. There's this passion and love of something that you wouldn't exist without. And when you get into that place in life, that it really helps you to never be depressed. I don't know what depression is because I'm busy. I know, like this fantastic way of moving my knowledge, whatever I am, forward, and finding out another way to help the other to understand what I am, or understand the happy body, how it works, and how to communicate that. That is overwriting everything else that could take me into feeling not good about myself, or feeling down or something, or being bored. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means to be bored. I don't know what to have anxiety. I don't know what the fears are. I don't know those things. I just don't know anymore. So I'm just having a really good life, fantastic life. But it's that life is very charged life. It's not just to pass the day. It is. I included in the life, the progression is a little bit goodness every day, a little bit something, a little bit hard, better craft of whatever it is, and that adapts you over 10,000 days to the place where you have really good time with writing poetry. You have a good time with the happy body because you are receiving so much data about your inside world, your body, and so on, that you really are like a Stoic. You take control over how you move your body, and then if something happens to it, you exactly know how to correct things, and it makes you proud, makes you happy, makes you the way on purpose in life.
Beautiful. And we're running out of time here, and I just wanted to end it with just your general thoughts on like what role has meditation played in your life and Stoicism, and do they correlate? Is meditation a good practice to get better with Stoicism? Is there any link, or what role have those two practices / mindsets played in your life?
Well, philosophy is a certain belief system that you set up in the mind. Meditation is just reaching the silent gaps. So they are two different completely things. But you can have, like meditation that you can calm your mind, and that helps you to develop the distance between irritation and you, and it can help you to be calmer and to give you that distance, a little bit time before you react to something. So because of that, gives you that distance, it prevents you from being irritated and respond kindly to whatever the irritant is. When it comes to philosophy, you have a certain way of looking into the world to prevent yourself from frustration, or from fears, or from being put down or something. So or from suffering. So in Stoicism, you simply you are not afraid. You are not afraid that you die, or for you that you live or die is just the same thing in a way. You have certain preferences, but be ill and healthy, it will not really change your views, and you change you. So being poor and rich will not do it either. A Stoic has a certain preferences, not like Cynic, that Stoic will, of course, will prefer to be rich and not poor, but will not suffer because of being poor. It's just the same as ill and so on. So here you have the certain believing system that, if it's rich, it's beautiful because it's like, it prevents the Stoic from suffering. So, as the Buddha says, suffering, the desire is suffering, right? So the desire is how to actually. So the Stoic has this preference, right? So and then seeing this, perfect stage in a world that is there, and then on daily basis, that Stoic really has the certain progress as well built in. That because we are not really complete entity, that complete Stoics, right? So we are evolving too, like an artist with every poem. So Stoic or a philosopher evolves too through life with every book, every person that delivers certain message contributes to better understanding or softer dealing with difficulties of life. So there are two really different approaches, although both really helps. And I think that Stoics meditate, and meditators, are Stoics in a way, become, right? So it's and also you have an artist here that we really didn't talk about. The artist is something else, because artist, moves through life with feelings. So the feelings are expression of what happens to the human being, and expression of feelings are not hidden, but sometimes very painful. And artists are working with the I feel. The philosopher works with I think. The scientist works with I know, and that's the. And then there's another one. There is a spiritual person that cares for the world. So everyone of this could achieve being a Stoic in a way, right? And be a meditator because of the fields of doing this, when the passion really is really intense enough for an artist, a poet, or a painter, a musician. That painter also becomes a philosopher in a way, and also cares for the world, right? And becomes Stoic in the highest way, right? In the practice, when the practice becomes really a person becomes the poet, really, and or become poetry, or become philosophy. I think that they all contribute. These four realms contribute to become the holy human being on the planet. And it's just that's how much we have of each one.
So you have these four roles: the poet, the philosopher, the scientist, and the spiritual master.
Right. Yes. And I think that the pursuing of these four it needs, in order to be complete person. So let's say you're a scientist, and then or a business personality, and then you want to open the factory, but the factory it is not aligned with the spirituality, right? With the care for the planet. So the challenge would be how to make it so it's still so you make it the way that also you have the care for the world. So it's in a way aligns the person with care for the wholeness, not only to be the scientist, but also not to, like Einstein was thinking about what atomic bomb is and so on, right? So of course there was no way not to do it, but the way has to be okay. How to make it safe? Then how to make the world that the world achieves that, but also how to create the world that we care, and how we create the world that the science is embraced by those that really care or think or feel the world.
And where does the warrior fit into that? Would he be like under the Stoic?
You mean the warrior, or the soldier, or whatever it is, right?
Well, I mean like the role of the warrior, because you mentioned earlier that we have to pick our battles and challenge ourselves. So that role, that psyche.
Yeah, that's a metaphor, really.
Right.
A warrior is the pursuer. It's a persistent pursuer of a passion. So that passion has to be now analyzed whether it's a good passion, and that passion has passes the care, right, and the whole philosophy. So it's it's not so simple to just to follow something. It has to be also good, and it has to be goodness for the world, that whatever you do. But the warrior here is that the one that that fights with something that is real, and fights with something that he can or she can see the progress, and also becoming better over time. So it's not that one doesn't fall into entertainment and doing things that would not contribute to the progress, to the becoming better over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that mentality of. That's actually how I see the world. Is I see myself as a warrior, and I see negativity and emotional reactivity and all those different things. I see that as the enemy. And you were talking about meditation and how it helps you create that gap so that you don't react to life and irritation and stuff like that. So I see meditation as a good way to create that distance, as you were saying, which actually helps me become better at being a warrior. And it helps me become better at making those hard choices, because then I can pinpoint the enemy of reactivity and irritation and all those different things, and I can eliminate it by simply being aware of it before it even gets me. Because, sometimes when the negative emotions get to you, then it's too late, and then you're already reacting, and it's hard to stop when it's already in you. But if you see it from a distance and you eliminate it and you respond, like you said, then it's such a stronger way of being.
Yeah, or you have the view of a Stoic, that you don't have any expectations. So if you have zero expectations, then you focus on what you do, and if you have zero expectations, you really cannot have fears, and you cannot have anxieties, and you cannot be depressed, because you don't have expectations.
Right.
Right. It's a very difficult mind set to achieve in life, but when you achieve that mind, it's really beautiful mind, the one that does things in life, chooses the hard choices, and doesn't have really expectations, enjoys everything what life brings, and concentrates constantly on the next one, the next one, the next one. Doesn't hold an energy to how the things happen and in the past, or suffers because it was not good enough or whatever. That's not Stoics. Stoics moves constantly forward, and concentrate on in the present moment what to do in the present moment in a good way, and whatever is done, and then after that there is no such thing as expectations.
Right. That's a beautiful thing right there, because if you take on that mindset, it kind of reminds me of Taoism, which is just allowing the universe to flow without reacting to it, and without being so caught up in the external world. You just focus on what you can do.
Yeah, it's not allowing. It's here more be constructive. Stoic is still constructive, has certain preferences. So it's not really allowing the world to become. It's still Stoic becomes is educated, becomes smarter, becomes intelligent. So the life doesn't happen to him. Right, so the artist is the same way. The life doesn't happen to the artist or the scientist. They are really pursuers. They are really warriors.
Right, I see. Yeah, what I meant to say was that, like, when I've been reading a lot of Taoism, and what it talks about oftentimes is kind of just not resisting too much if it's something you can't control. And and you said that life becomes so much more beautiful when you put yourself in that state of mind where you have no expectations. You're just doing what you can, and you're moving forward like a warrior, but you're not afraid of what's going to happen as a result of it. You're just doing what you can, and it's
And
a
you
very
don't
strong
suffer.
mindset.
Yeah, and you don't suffer because you have to pick up the hard choices. It's just they are normal in life. It's
Right.
like, and that's good. Everything is good. Everything is okay. And in this way of living, you simply you don't focus on the past. You don't focus on how good you are or bad you are, and so on. You focus on the really present moment to do what you need to do, and then pass all the ideas with the expectations. You just go to the next one and to the next one and to the next one, and let others judge and let others think. A Stoic doesn't have time for that. There's no time for judging what you do. It's like critics maybe have time, but I don't have time to judge what I do. I'm going to the next one, and that is the excitement, in life and moving forward, and that where's the warrior supposed to be? Forward, 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 not backward. In the present, do what you need to do, and then go to the next present, and then do what you need to do, and then go to the next present, and don't go to the past and start analyzing it, because that's where suffering is.
So you don't think you should reflect?
No, you don't need that. But reflection can be something new, but it's not like it will not contribute anything to you really as moving forward, right? Because you start reflecting, you can, okay, you are going to do talk about good about yourself or bad, unless you are reflecting, actually trying to figure out how to move forward.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like,
that's not reflection, because
right.
That's really engagement, how to move forward, how to make it happen, what you cannot understand, comprehend, or do. Let's say how to be a better snatcher or a jumper or a poet and so on. So that is not reflection. That is actually working at that moment.
Right. Okay. So you're just reaching in as much as you need to, just to get that next nugget so that it can help you move forward. But you're not sitting there just thinking about what went wrong and what happened and what he said or what she said. You're just taking the lesson out of it and you're just moving forward with it.
Yes.
Right. That's awesome. Awesome. And so we pretty much ran out of time here, and I really enjoyed diving into the psyche here with you and exploring all the different mindsets that you have that contribute to your life, which I can now say after having actually spoken to you, you are definitely somebody that I can say is successful. You're living the good life. Health, wealth, relationships, happiness, everything is on point. And it was such a pleasure talking to you. And where can people find more of your work and everything else to learn more?
I think you should start with thehappybody.com and just go there and enjoy reading. And every life is good. You start with where the life is and make it better. But every life is good. It's just like you have to really get it, that wherever you are is good. And then good doesn't mean have to stay the way. That you can have now start with progress and make it better. So we don't have to suffer that wherever we are. We only suffer because we have imagination, that we put the judgment on it. And that's why we suffer. If you don't put the judgment on it like a Stoic, then you will not suffer.
It's almost like control your imagination.
Yeah, in a way. Well, yeah, I think that more you are flowing with the existence as it is, and wherever you are, you appreciate extremely where you are, and because of appreciation, you can create a better tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, every life is good. And with that being said, It was really good talking to you, and I can say I'm living the good life too, being able to just be on this path and doing what I do, interviewing the greatest minds out there. And yeah, Jerzy, it was really cool talking to you. And
Fantastic.
yeah, hope you guys
make
enjoy
things
this.
better, right?
Yes.
Okay.
How can I make things better? After this,
All right.
I'm just gonna move on to the next thing. Just move forward.
Here we are. All right.
All right, Jerzy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you.